The clock ticks past 77 minutes. 80,000 fans in Stade de France are creating a wall of sound. In the middle of it all, South Africa are down by 1 point to England in a Rugby World Cup semi-final. They get a penalty. It's a kick from nearly 50 meters out, a kick to send their nation to the final. For Handré Pollard, this isn't just another day at the office. With the weight of the country on his shoulders, he steps up and sends it sailing right through the post. Ice in his veins. Meet Handré Pollard, rugby's Iceman, a player seemingly built for the biggest moments. But he wasn't always this calm, this clinical. He even once called himself a young, stupid little boy. To understand the weapon he became, you first have to understand the fire that forged him, the story of the mental evolution that turned a gifted kid into a legend. Let's be clear, Handré Pollard wasn't just good from the start. He was a prodigy. Identified as a future star in primary school, he was fast-tracked through the South African's elite rugby school system. As a teenager, he was a rare blend of size, skill, and a cannon of a boot. He captained the South African schools team, led the junior Boks to the world title in 2012, and by just 20 years old, he was pulling on the green and gold for the Springboks. The hype was off the charts. Fans, teammates, even rival coaches were calling him the next savior of South African rugby. The pressure would suffocate most people, and at just 21, he was the starting fly-off at the 2015 Rugby World Cup, a ridiculous amount of responsibility for someone so young. Pollard handled it with all kind of youthful fearlessness, leaning on the veteran players around him. He came out of the tournament with his reputation soaring, but on the inside, the cracks were starting to form. He later admitted he was on an unbelievable ride and was losing touch with reality because everything was going so well. He was a phenomenal talent, no doubt, but he was still a young man struggling with expectations that would crush almost anyone. The foundation was there, but it was brittle, and it was about to be shattered. 2016 was supposed to be the next step in Pollard's unstoppable rise. Instead, it was the year it all came crashing down. He'd just come back from a 3-month stint in Japan and was in a pre-season training with his club. During a simple passing drill, with no one even near him, he bent down. The diagnosis? Devastating. A ruptured ACL. It was a season-ending 9-month injury. Facing a long, brutal recovery, Pollard made a practical choice. He'd also get surgery on a nagging shoulder injury. But what happened next was a one-in-a-million nightmare. A severe infection took hold of his shoulder. It was a septicemia, and it was so aggressive that doctors actually warned him they might have to amputate his arm to save his life. Suddenly, rugby didn't matter anymore. The game he had poured his life into was now a distant second to a fight for his health. He went from the golden boy of South African rugby to a hospital patient staring down a life-altering outcome. For nearly 14 months, he was out of the game, fighting not just to save his career, but for a normal life. In his own words, these were some of the darkest days he had ever faced. The prodigy has fallen, and nobody knew if he was ever going to come back. That long, grueling rehab, that's where the Iceman was born. Stripped from his identity as a rugby star, Pollard had to face a reality he'd never known. My first 3 years was just you're in the clouds and you lose touch with reality because everything is going so well, he later said. Well, that cloud was gone now. During that time away, he discovered that there's life outside the four lines of a rugby pitch. Family, friends, and a dose of perspective became his anchor. He started to realize that his worth as a person had nothing to do with his success in a game, that his maturity was the turning point. When he finally stepped back on the field in 2017, he wasn't the young, stupid little boy anymore. He was a man who stared down real adversity and came out the other side stronger. You could see this new mindset on the field. He was still the same powerful, athletic fly-off, but now played with a new level of composure. He'd always known pressure, but now he had perspective. He started to see the intense scrutiny of pro sport not as a weight, but as a privilege. Years later, Pollard would say, "This is not pressure. This is more a privilege to be part of these occasions." The mindset forged in the hardship of his injury became his ultimate weapon. He learned how to channel the noise, the expectation, and the weight of a nation into a single, sharp focus. The world really saw the new Handré Pollard at the 2019 Rugby World Cup. He was a general on the field and finished as the tournament's top point scorer. In a tense semi-final against Wales, he calmly kicked 4 penalties to drag his team to a 1916 win. Then, in the final against England, he was simply masterful, scoring 22 of South Africa's 32 points. all while playing with a fractured eye socket he picked up during the game. He wasn't just a talent anymore, he was a stone cold winner. But this legend was truly cemented 4 years later at the 2023 Rugby World Cup. After a calf injury meant he was initially left out of the squad, he got called up after a teammate was injured. It was a twist of fate that changed rugby history. In the quarter-final, the semi-final, and the final, South Africa won each match by a single point. And in every single one of those pressure cooker games, Pollard was flawless with his kicking. His 77th minute penalty against England in the final will go down in rugby history. Then, in the final against the greatest rival, the All Blacks, he did it again. In a brutal nail-biting fight, Handré Pollard scored all 12 of South Africa's points, kicking 4 penalties to seal a historic 12-11 victory and record the fourth World Cup title. When asked later about his incredible composure, his answer was simple. When you're actually on the field, it's pretty normal. It's just rugby, man. And that's the Iceman. It's not a lack of pressure, it is the mastery of it. It is the understanding earned through years of struggle. That the kick in front of you is, in the end, just a kick. The journey from the fragile, gifted kid to the unshakable match winner was complete. Handré Pollard's story is an incredible reminder that real strength isn't about avoiding the fire, it is about walking through it. The moments that almost breaks us are often the ones that make us. If you love stories about resilience in sport, make sure to subscribe and tell us in the comment which athlete's comeback you want to see us break down next. Handré Pollard was supposed to be the future of South African rugby, but after his career-threatening injury, crushing setbacks, and the hope of a nation on his shoulders, he became something more. He became its ultimate weapon. He is a two-time World Cup champion, a man for the biggest moment, and a living proof of the power of mental strength. The fire tested him, it challenged him, and it nearly broke him, but in the end, it forged him into the pure, unshakable Iceman.